What's up, guys? It's Panic Knife here with theawfulgamer.com, and today I'm going to be walking you through Colonel Vorgath on Nightmare EC in Star Wars The Old Republic. So first of all, if you haven't done this fight on hard mode, I don't know what you're doing trying to check out a Nightmare mode video, but whatever, no big deal. I think that I'm going to just go ahead and say that the mechanics are all very similar to the mechanics of hard mode, in that everything from hard mode is also in nightmare mode. There's just a bunch of additions to those mechanics that make this even more difficult. So, for example, I guess I'll walk through it a little bit. I mean, you're going to have to make sure you stay on the green squares. You can't go on anything that's yellow or red, or if there's in the middle of the minefield here, you can't go through the stuff that doesn't have a panel on it. It's pretty self-explanatory. If you step off of the safe areas and onto a mine, you're going to kill yourself and wipe your raid. So yeah, all that kind of stuff is all still the same. Basically what you're going to end up doing is going to have your off tank is going to go up into the elevator platform that you saw in the beginning of the area here. To start out, you're going to want to send one DPS up with him to kill the ad that goes up there, and then he's going to jump right onto the panel. The difference between Nightmare and Hard mode here is that you're going to need to make sure that you go down the left side every time. The reason for that is that when you get these Imperial, whatever, the demolitions probes, each of them does their overload just like it did on Hard mode. The difference is it doesn't have a channel, so you can't interrupt it. You're going to basically want to make sure that everybody is stacked against the wall like we are here. If you don't do that, it's going to knock everybody back, in all different places, and you're going to end up wiping because you're going to have people hitting the platforms you can't go on. Another difference between hard mode and nightmare mode is that you have to be on the same square. You have to be on the farthest up square, and you can't have somebody lag back and stay away from overload, stay away from the cleave, all that kind of stuff. You're going to need to have everybody up on the same platform because the squares actually turn red after you cross them. It's not immediate. It takes a couple of moments to do it, but yeah, that's a pretty big difference. The third biggest difference in Nightmare versus hard mode is that the assassin droids can no longer be CC'd. That used to be one of the cool little strategies that you'd be able to do, where you'd have it so that your your healers or your snipers or something like that would just basically CC those droids, deal with them later, in between the probe droid phases. So you're going to need to make sure that you have some ranged DPS or somebody who can shroud through the effect, staying on the assassin droid duty at all times, because if they don't get those assassin droids down, they're going to walk through the grade and blow up and kill you, and that's not too good. So yeah, that's pretty much those three things are the biggest differences between nightmare mode and hard mode. The other difference is that when the tank has to fight the ad, or the off tank rather has to fight the ad up on the top of the platform, it's a little bit tougher. They're going to need to make sure that they're kind of Johnny on the spot with their DPS and getting him down so that they can get back on the panel duty and make sure that everybody's getting through their jobs. We had somebody who almost right there walked into the yellow, but that's obviously a bad thing. The other important thing here on Nightmare versus Hard mode is the cleave does a lot more damage. Make sure that you have people alternating on the interrupts. You have 4 DPS on 8-man mode. It shouldn't be that difficult to do. Make sure that they're alternating. Assign people first interrupt, second interrupt, that sort of thing. It shouldn't be too bad. The tank should be able to handle one of them, and you'll have somebody else getting back up on it. But everybody has to be interrupting, or else you are going to take an enormous amount of damage. You're going to make sure that your healers have absolutely no force, no heat, all that kind of stuff. And you're going to wipe, and you're just a jerk if you have to worry about those if you don't want to get those interrupts. Interrupting is one of the easiest things in the game. Just keep bind it to something you hit very easily. It's pretty self-explanatory. So this boss is pretty much just free loot, as you can see. It's not that much different than hard mode, and this was one of the easiest fights on hard mode. So we've noticed that because people are stacking up against the wall on this one,
Oh, yep, hit the switch.
it's a little bit harder to, you know, make sure that one person gets the kit versus the others. Obviously, it's the same mechanic as hard mode in terms of the person who's right underneath the boss is the one who usually gets the defusal kit. Make sure that person is the person who, you know, they know that they got it. They know that they have that, you know, the pliers above their head, and they go through, and they're the only ones who are running onto the yellow platform and disarming the bomb. Otherwise, again, you're gonna wipe. Now we get to the top here, and our group has a lot of ranged DPS. So what we ended up doing, we spread out pretty well. Make sure that, you know, everybody's behind the boss. You know, between let the tanks be the ones that are closest to the turrets. If you get this the circle like you see on me right there, that circle, the big circle, is the one that sticks to you. You're going to take the damage, so stay away from the rest of your raid. It won't kill you, but it will kill the rest of the raid. So just eat it and run away from people. That's pretty simple. If you get a smaller reticle on or near your feet, move out of that one. That won't stick with you, and it will kill you. So pretty simple there. Now, at some point here, the turrets are going to go up. You're going to want to kill the front 2 turrets. Just leave the last 2 turrets alone. Some people like to kill all the turrets. I think they're dumb because that just makes sure that the turrets respawn. And we don't have anybody behind the boss. We didn't have a ton of melee here, so it wasn't a huge deal that, you know, that we had 2 turrets up. The tanks were pretty much taking all the turret damage, and that's pretty much it. I mean, this boss is not that hard. He does a threat drop during this phase right here. Just make sure your tank taunts back off of him as soon as he can, and pretty much just keep attacking and win. Now, the nice part about Colonel Vorgath on Nightmare mode is that he does he drops he has a higher chance of dropping the tank mount. It's not a 100% chance, obviously. If you check on my server anyway, there's probably 5 to 10 people on the fleet that have the tank mount. Maybe a little bit more than that, but at any one time, you'll see a few people with it. It's probably the coolest mount in the game, except for the fact it's really, really slow. As are most tanks, you have a, you know, I think it only gives you a 30% speed upgrade over walking, but it's impossible to get knocked off of it, which is pretty cool if you're, you know, you're questing through areas. Also, it's gigantic and obnoxious. So, yeah, anybody who doesn't want that, I don't want to be a friend of yours. So, yeah, that's pretty much it. This fight also, I believe, drops bracers, I think. Dreadguard bracers, which have open armorings and mods, so that is a big one. You want to make sure you get that. It's either bracers or it's waist wrap. So that's a pretty awesome consolation if you don't get the tank mount. That's about it though. So pretty much this is a free loot fight. As long as you're stacking against the wall, as long as you're hitting in rage with the or, you know, beating in rage on the probes and making sure that somebody's grabbing the assassin droids, you're pretty much going to win this fight. Just finish killing off the turrets and you win. Anyway, with theawfulgamer.com, this is Panic Knife. Hope you guys enjoyed the video and have a good night.
I still say my favorite quote is our first Kefis kill when Crassus goes, "You're fucking your size up, fucking you guys up."
Yeah, you guys are fucking yourselves.